From the beginning, the Titanic was designed to be the largest ship to ever take to sea. She was grand and luxurious, built with the highest technology of her time, and, at a time when ship travel was considered dangerous, she was deemed a virtually unsinkable ship. But on the night of April 14, 1912, the Titanic ocean liner struck an iceberg and sunk into the Atlantic, affecting future ship designs, safety laws, and technology for sea exploration. The idea of building a ship that was both comfortable and safe led to the construction of the Titanic on March 31, 1909. This event began a turning point in ship engineering and design. The ship was built with 16 different watertight compartments that allowed for any 2 compartments or 4 front compartments to flood, and the ship wouldn't sink. It was the first of its kind. For this reason, the ship was deemed unsinkable. It was a turning point in modern engineering and became known as the Ship of Dreams. Passengers boarded the Titanic for her 7-day maiden voyage that departed from Southampton, England, and would dock in New York City, New York. The week-long journey across the Atlantic was not an easy task, and if it was done, it would be a major accomplishment in sea exploration. It was the night of April 14, 1912 that changed history. The waters had been clear this far in the journey, so no immediate worry was accountable. All was calm, and it seemed like a normal night on the Titanic, till an unexpected iceberg was spotted by the lookout Frederick Fleet. But by this time, the Titanic's fate was already sealed. The iceberg scraped against the side of the ship, and 37 seconds later, the ship was swinging to the left. It was calculated that a 300-foot gash had been made, and 5 compartments were already flooded, and more were still flooding.
When she actually hit the iceberg and her side was torn open, the notion that her bulkheads were watertight proved to be false, because essentially what happened was, as the 6 of them opened, she started going down by the bow, and water cascaded in one compartment, and it came up and flowed into the second compartment, much the same way as a ice tray, in the sense that you fill one and it flows out to the second one.
It took 2.5 hours for the ship to sink, plenty of time to unload all the passengers, if only there had been enough lifeboats. Out of the 2,228 people on board, only 710 survived. The sinking of the Titanic devastated the world. No other shipwreck in history has left such a permanent imprint upon public awareness of safety, and undoubtedly major turning points occurred. Amongst these were safety laws. New lifeboat regulations were put into place. A ship needed to carry enough lifeboats to fill all the members on board. The Titanic had the ability to hold 32 lifeboats, but only held 20, a difference of 900 lives.
It's the lessons learned from Titanic in terms of safety at sea. It is one of those events that really sort of has transformed, I think, how people think about the sea.
Titanic to me is the beginning of the history of modern rescue, what governments themselves had to do to rescue people that were in distress.
A starlit night and 2.5 hours from the time of impact till the time she sank. Plenty of time to save everyone, if only there had been enough lifeboats.
The lack of training in the crew in the Titanic was the main reason they could not accommodate enough passengers in each of the lifeboats. The knowledge that this was the main reason that so many people died led to the law that all crew members must be trained in the event of a collision. The International Convention for the Safety at Sea passed a law in 1914 that stated all passengers aboard the ship must partake in all lifeboat drills before the ship is to leave. Also included in this law was that lifeboat inspections must be conducted. New regulations did not only permit to lifeboats, but also to sea communication as well. It began a turning point in the contact with ships at sea. The Radio Act of 1912 was a U.S. federal law that required all seafaring vessels to maintain a 24-hour radio watch and keep in contact with nearby ships and coastal radio stations. The act also required all amateur radio operators to be licensed. The ongoing conflict between amateur radio operators and the U.S. Navy and private corporations in the sinking of the Titanic led to the passing of this act. Another form of communication was the International Ice Patrol. The International Ice Patrol is where commercial ships crossing the North Atlantic radio in their positions and ice sightings. The disaster of the RMS Titanic gripped the world with a chilling awareness of an iceberg's potential for tragedy. It became the main catalyst for the creation of the International Ice Patrol. Immediately following the disaster, the White Star Line modified the designs of their ships to a safer model, a turning point in ship design. They created a double bottom to the ship and extended the double bottom up the sides of the hull, which minimized the chance that a punctured hole would allow water into the watertight compartments. If an iceberg or a collision with another ship barely punctures the hole, only the space between the inner and outer sidewalls would flood with water. The watertight compartments would remain undamaged. Anything possible was done to prevent another disaster, such as the Titanic, to occur again. Even the same ship route the Titanic took was changed to prevent collisions, as well as many other dangerous routes. This improved the safety of ship travel. The Titanic today is known for its story as a tragedy, for how many lives were lost and the sadness that overcame the world. Though the true outcome of the Titanic is not apparent to most people. Sure, it is a story of tragedy, but deep beneath the surface we find success and hope. The RMS Titanic's well-known disaster has been a reminder to the world for over 100 years. A reminder of our failed trust in technology and selfishness in perfection. From this disaster, though, lessons were learned and put to practice. The turning points from this incident improved safety, design, communication, and technology. Though it is still not enough to put behind us today. Today, this sinking remains relevant as modern-day ships sink or are lost at sea, and we continually grow in our mistakes and make things that much better, so that one day the Titanic will not be only remembered for the lives lost, but for the contribution it made from its turning points in history.